the fortune is in the follow-up. I don't know what the statistics say about how many times you have to touch somebody once they're interested before they make a buying decision.
When we're working with clients and teaching them how they can take their quick notes, grab their phone, talk to their AI as they're leaving a grower's farm and say, okay, Stan, we covered X, Y, and Z with them. Put that in.
This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe, and let's geek out on AI.
So I got a question for you. Have you ever had somebody reach out to you, seem like a really hot possible prospect for your business, go stone cold silent, and you sent them that automated, in the can, message number 1, message number 2, message number 3, follow up, and still heard crickets? Then you heard somebody tell you, hey, maybe you should add tokens to it and put their name in it and stuff like that. And you still hear crickets. We are in 2026. We are halfway through 2026, depending on when you're listening to this. And AI should be your hyper-personalized follow-up lead nurturing process. So you can stop losing leads that you've already paid for and have something intelligent, like almost like a real person, chase them down, message them based on their input and cadence and knowledge and information, and be way more intentional. So we are going to talk all about that today on this episode of the AI Marketing Experts Podcast. I'm your host, John. We've got the distinguished panel, as Brad would always call us. I don't know how distinguished we are, but we'll let Brad go with that when he calls us that. And we're going to unpack this entire subject because I think it's critical to any business and now a game changer and a huge differentiator to those are first movers versus those are going to be laggards. So who would like to jump in on this first and either second what I said or tell me I'm completely off in left field?
Well, I know everybody's going to go deeper, so I'll jump in first. Yes, that's the way a lot of success has come in the past with those follow-ups, the automated emails that you took time as a small business owner to craft. It was a strong message. It really did work. But to your point, this point in time, it just doesn't get you that much further. But if you've had that phone conversation, just think, you have those notes. And the one thing that I'll just give you as a starting point for those who just want to get their toes in the water, go a little bit further with AI, is take those notes from that call, that conversation, and run those through AI. And even if you're just replying back, your follow-up will reference what they were calling about. It'll talk about their problems. You have the solutions, and just those mere points, they're going to take note that you remembered them, that you were following up. You remembered their problem. You had the solution. So that's just an easy way. And like John said, we're going to unpack this and go a lot deeper. But if you can just take any calls coming in today, one way to follow up next week would be to review your notes and have AI extract those key points, look at your systems, your other messages you have in place, and then all of a sudden that's going to be a very hyper personalized message back to them.
Brilliant. What are you thinking, Chris?
Well,
Jen, we'll go with Jen. You spoke first. No.
Chris is gonna go deep on this. I know he will.
Yeah.
And so
I'm letting y'all talk first.
Fair enough.
So let me just say really quick, if you are a small business owner who is doing your own marketing and you have any sort of follow-up system in place, or you are manually following up, I'm just going to give you a quick kudos because you are following up. There are so many small business owners that don't do any follow-up. So like John always says, good, better, best. And so just if you are following up in any fashion, give yourself a pat on the back really quick. I'm just going to give you that. So now we can go into Chris's This is how you do the better and best version.
Yeah. So, all right. I definitely know a lot about this subject just because I built what we call chase, right? So it's funny that you said to chase people down. So we built a bot at my agency to really fix this problem because it's a real problem in the roofing industry of people not following up, right? As if anybody who has ever hired a contractor or tried to get a contractor for anything, you realize that one, they don't answer their phones. So we built Samantha. Two, which is she's a voice AI agent. Number two, we built Chase because of their follow up. Okay. So what Chase does is that she actually handles every single interaction that is not voice based, essentially, right? Email, SMS primarily, direct message through Meta, Messenger, whatever way that people come in, even WhatsApp. What she does is that she gets them into an appointment first. That's the very first thing, right? So this nurturing idea is that if someone fills out a form on your website at 2 a.m., she immediately follows up. Hey, this is Chase. Saw that you just filled out a form on our website. Here is, what can I help you with? It looked like you had problems with such and such and such, right? And I've seen her and watched her at 6 o'clock in the morning when I know that those roofers are definitely not going to do that, right? I've watched her real time go back and forth with the homeowner that needed help right then and there to schedule an appointment. So that appointment would have gone probably unscheduled. Okay. That later turned into a job, by the way, for $25,000 roof replacement. Okay. That was $25,000 that Chase specifically saved because she was there. Now, on how do you do that? Well, I'm using all sorts of things for agentic coding and all that kind of stuff. A safer way for any small business, I would highly recommend CloseBot. It's pretty plug and play. There are tons of CloseBot professionals that you can hire to do that and set it up for your small business. I used to use CloseBot for me and my clients. I went a step further because we're creating what we're calling the brain for this AI operating system for other agents. And this is just the first set of agents that we've built for our clients. I have seen real time her not only saving that appointment, but the other part is the follow up after an estimate is sent, right? And so we solved for that as well. She also then, once they're put into a certain stage in the pipeline, she will follow up afterwards because I know y'all roofers are not doing it. Okay. You are not following up after the fact, after an estimate is sent. So she will follow up for as long as you tell her and you give her the instructions to do that. But I told our bot, our Chase, to follow up for 6 months. Okay. And she'll follow up weekly with helpful things, nurturing, if you will. Hey, did you know that we did this? Or did you know that we did that? Do that. Once people figure out, the funny part is once people figure out that they're talking to Chase and that she's selling herself, right? That's the funny part. People book and then get into appointments with my sales staff. So it's definitely something that you need to be doing in 2026.
I think it is. And we'll bounce to Brad. One of the things so Jen is absolutely right. People that follow up, like every salesperson knows the money's in the follow-ups, right? We've heard this in every business book for 50 years. All automation was okay, well, you weren't doing it. Let's at least automate it. That made it so much easier, except for the fact that still nobody did it. Like it's still, when we talk to clients, the percentage, we talk to agency owners, the percentage of them that even ever wired that in, but wired that in as, again, better than doing absolutely nothing. But if you actually hired a really good business development manager, sales development manager, whatever, and they were the one picking up the phone and calling, they were checking out the LinkedIn listings, they were, all of those kinds of things after a lead came in, because maybe this lead you're talking to, this lead went cold. There's all kinds, this one likes text messages, this one sent an email, and, meet them where they're at would be the human in the loop. Well, you can train all of that into an agent system, like good enough, start with like CloseBot, as Chris said, straight up. Better, start building out these agents. Even there's a best level now where we're starting to build in what's called a warm collision, where if they go cold again, we're looking like the AI that's working in our own agency, but now for clients coming up as well, is where it actually MCPs, so connects, whatever, let's not get too techie, into LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that, ingests even more information, puts it into a database and said, I know about this kid's daughter softball award that she just got. And this, can I figure out a warm collision between this business owner and this client that reinvigorates that conversation again down the road. So again, may not apply to a roofer 3 months down the road as much, because hopefully the roof is solved by then if it was leaky. But it may, and a carpet cleaner, they probably already got the carpets cleaned, the dog urine's taken care of right now, maybe. But if it's sort of a B2B, if it's you're a business owner reaching out to your Dream 100 referral partner list. So not just necessary customers, but what if you're using these things to reach out to the people that are going to help you align and bring more customers in? Growing a business is more than just picking up the phone and getting leads. It is how you're doing it everywhere. And that's all part of this as well. So Brad, what is your thoughts on kind of old school business, to, the way you and I ran businesses 20 and 30 years ago, the brick and mortar crap, to what we are recommending our audience and our clients do today?
Well, I think that everything you guys have shared makes a lot of sense. The first thing that really comes top of mind, I believe Jen said it, is how many businesses don't follow up at all. I know I was at an event in Florida last March, signed up for a trial of a software, and, they were to get back to me, nothing. I was actually kind of interested in that software, but since they never followed up, they didn't communicate with me at all. It's like, yeah, went by the wayside, right? But what John just said is literally, I've had companies going back 20 plus years. My first one was way back when, but back 20 years ago, we had in-house callers. I had a construction company. So we would, we wouldn't let a lead die until they said, no, we're done, or we found somebody else, or stop bothering me, So the old school way was literally calling, and that's still effective. We've had callers in recent times as well, where they're following up, they're communicating, they're using online tools to text them, to look up information about them, learn more about them, that type of thing. But now, we have a system not quite as elaborate as Chase, but it's the same concept, meaning when a lead comes in, we know where they came from, whether that was from a website form, whether it was a chat on our website, whether it was a phone call, whatever it is, it's the same concept. We're going to keep communicating with them until they say, leave us alone, or, hey, let's talk further. Because the fortune is in the follow-up. I don't know what the statistics say about how many times you have to touch somebody once they're interested before they make a buying decision. What is it, 12 times or however many times?
It's upwards of that.
Yeah, it's upwards of that. And so it's like, okay, so many companies in general, they don't follow up. And if they do, it's very short lived. And we've done it. I mean, there's times where we dropped the ball and we didn't follow up as much as we probably could have, or we learned a hard lesson. It's like, well, gosh, we had all these leads. We paid for all these ads or whatever it is. But if you can find different ways to hyper personalize it, at least communicate with them in some way, shape, or form. Like I say, if you have a series of follow-up emails, but they're super generic and not very well thought out, and it doesn't speak to them, it's better than nothing, but it's not necessarily what we're capable of doing these days.
And I want to bounce back to Laura, because the hyper-personalization is the key there. Like we've talked in other episodes about, and I am big on this in the industry. Anybody in the cleaning industry knows John will say, do not have babies lying on carpets and families and dogs sitting on couches on your website. Be authentic, be real, tell your story. Donald Miller's story brand, go learn it. Be the guide for the hero, which is the customer trying to solve their problem. That whole kind of idea. And in the follow-up and nurture, and in the immediate chase and the follow-up and nurture plan, if you are sending form messages, maybe, and we're all kind of used to now form messages with their name in the subject line and their name on the first. You might get an 80-year-old granny that didn't realize that, oh my God, he sent me a real email. All the rest of us know that was a form email with my name shoved into it. But when it turns around to be that hyper personalized, because AI is going, oh no, I'm going back to being like a real, like Jerry, the sales development manager, I'm going to go back and be like him, and how he would have done a little bit of research and to listen to the conversation. And what we just replied back with is about your conversation. That is super, super killer. And even on our team, I just wired in the other day where we've got our AI note taker, we've got Zoom, we've got phone calls inside tools like Go High Level and stuff like that, and into our phone system and all that. I've just now got them all connected that I can just pop into an agent and go, yep, that was a sales call. Yep, that was a client meeting. Yep, that was a team member meeting or a vendor meeting. And it goes, oh, I know what lane that is. Off it puts it, creates all the notes, creates all the stuff, creates all the follow-up, creates an entire series, sends the first one and sends me the rest as a draft and schedules it all. Right? It's like from any source, right? So that's, once you start building it, what you can build next is like, now the onions have layers. AI has layers. You can now just start putting layers on it once you get the basics down. So that hyper personalization, Laura, like what's you kind of first focused on that. What are some of your thoughts around why that's even important beyond what I said?
Well, I'll even say that everybody is bringing to the table here as to where to get that hyper personalization and what to stand out in their email box, stand out in the phone calls or the text messages. But if we think of how we have a lot of success already in our inboxes, all we have to do is ask it to review. Or if you're like, okay, I'm not ready to have it connected and looking at my email, we get that. So pull out when you've had those successful closes, when you feel like, wow, I took a lot of time, I have a great reply. Show them how you answer, the tone, your voice, how you made it your own voice, reaching out with care and providing that information that they need. So it can review your past emails. If you do want to connect, it can review all your emails, pull up, okay, this works. This really doesn't seem to be the strong point. And again, as you have those meeting notes, as you have now in agriculture, we don't have like high volumes of calls per day per se. So you get to know your growers, you get to know the areas they're at, what fields they're working. So there becomes a very strong story and history to them. And that's the reason why, if you can gather that information, follow up saying, hey, we have something new, follow up saying, did that work for you? Follow up and just present again solutions to their problems. They're going to see that you've been paying attention. And what you find out, that follow-up doesn't take you as long as it used to. So I think that's the biggest thing, is when we're working with clients and teaching them how they can take their quick notes, grab their phone, talk to their AI as they're leaving a grower's farm and say, okay, Stan, we covered X, Y, and Z with them. Put that in. Then when you're following up, it just allows us to make those quick edits, or the business owner to make those quick edits, and the follow-ups are quicker and very personalized.
So a couple things that'll bounce to Chris. A couple things there was, context is important in AI. So the more context you give it, let it learn, train, update like a database, a memory system of some sort, context, memory, and then eventually you can reverse the loop and say, okay, you've learned on all my stuff. Where do we suck? Do better, right? Once you start iterating and getting minimum viable going, and you measure, now modify before you turn into a machine. I call it my framework, but it's MVP, measure, modify, and then become a machine, lock and load, and have it self-improve from that point forward. So, and you've done a bunch of that, Chris, with your tools as well. The whole, now you get to hey, this is how far you can take it. Like, you can actually turn it to be really agentic. Start with the basics, have it help you write a better email.
Right.
Because it has context. Eventually, have it write a better email than you ever would have in your life.
So one of the things that we solved with Chase this week was questions, right? Clients, potential customers have questions that you would have never thought of before. So we built a way for her to say, hey, you know what? Not quite sure about that. Let me ask someone and I'll get right back to you. So she does that, gets with us on Telegram. We reply what it is, what the true answer is. One, she gets back with the customer on that. Number two, she says, okay, I'm placing this in my memory system now so that I know this from now on.
Never have to
I
ask
think
again. Yeah, that's brilliant.
that's
Huge.
and that's something that we solved this week because we were in our customers, our clients, their customers were asking some strange questions that Chase didn't know, and she didn't really have a way to deal with that at all. Most humans will be like, well, I don't know that answer, and just move on. And that's exactly what, the agents were doing. And so we caught that in the conversations, right? And then solved for that. So, that's just one of the little things that you can do with any agentic system is give it a memory, give it a way to remember it's and a way to learn over time.
Yeah. And we said that like CloseBot and some of these tools have been around for a couple of years, really. But I would say the whole shift in late January, early February of this year, and we're only like 6 months out of that, has transformed. Like it's scary. It's scary how far it's gone. We say that on almost every episode, but it's just like how what you solved this week was like it would have been patched together a month ago, maybe, or whatever, harder to solve. Now it's like even the latest models, the latest stuff, loop engineering and all this crazy crap. Now all of a sudden it's solvable. What's your thoughts on any of this, Jen? Like we'll swing back around to you because you're nodding at all of it. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm listening to Chris honestly and going like, okay, mine does that. Okay, does mine do that? Do I need to look into that? So, part of what I love about getting together with all of you guys and recording this every week is that sometimes I have a lot to contribute and other times I have a lot that I want to listen to because I want to know how to improve my own systems. So anyways, I don't have an answer to your question, John, because I was too in my head and listening to everything that Chris was saying too. Sorry.
No, all good. So where do we think we take anybody listening right now? We're again, the good, better, best. That's the way my brain works. So where do we take them right now saying, hey, following up to stop losing leads by using hyper-personalized, bringing AI into the loop, right? We've kind of given some ideas. Let's put it back into, okay, practical steps. So who wants to go and just kind of give a, on the very basics, just dovetail it back into what we've talked about all the way, good, better, best. How would we fit that in?
Well, I think, go ahead, Jen. Ladies first.
I was just going to say, if you are following up with leads, and so you don't have the, the internal like meeting notes and stuff like that doesn't apply. But if you have leads, you can use AI to scrape the internet to gather that business intelligence, that the information on the company, the person, the whatever it is, use AI to get that information so that you can personalize your response and your follow-up.
Plug into Zillow and know the size of the roof of the house, right? Like literally, like there's an actual floor plan in Zillow of pretty much every house. If you're not plugged into Zillow, hey, I noticed that you have a 2,800 square foot roof, blah blah blah. Did you get damaged by the hailstorm last week? And like whatever. So what are you going to say, Brad? What was your thoughts on this?
I just will say, taking it down to the bare bones basics. If you're stuck and you need to follow up, and maybe one thing you could do is, if you're using Google Workspace, for example, there's AI tools built right into the Google tools. So you could literally get ready to respond to an email and ask for some help. I mean, you can also, speaking of, Google tools, is if you need, like John was just saying, where you can hyper personalize about different things, you could pull up their website in a Chrome browser, for example, ask Gemini, because there's a little button at the top of Chrome now, and ask it something about that company. So, what's a really unique thing about this company that most people don't talk about or most people don't realize? So you could use that as well, to where if you're kind of looking for ways to personalize, granted, if you're right now you're in South Texas, there was a bunch of flooding. There's lots of ways you can use, AI tools But then the last one, I think, is if you're like, hey, I really, this is a big deal. Maybe this is a B2B thing, and you really want to stand out to that prospective customer. You could throw together a quick Notebook LM, which just changed their name yesterday to Gemini Notebook. So it's not called Google Notebook LM anymore. You could do that where you could pull in their website, you could pull in their social media, you could stack those sources in there to say, gosh, I want to talk intelligently to this person, but I don't really know who the heck they are. I know they're a big company and I'd like to have them as a client. So you could use Gemini Notebook now, put all the sources in there, and then talk to it intelligently, because once you put the sources in there, now it hyper knows what you're discussing. So those just be some super basic ways, free ways, without having an elaborate chase system or some of the other systems we've talked about, CloseBot, all these different things. If you're just kind of doing it a little bit more manually, lean on your AI tools that are at your disposal, even if it's ChatGPT. Use something so that you can gather information.
And you can do that on your cell phone in the truck before walking into the contact, or whatever as well. So, Does anybody else get any sort of parting tips or famous last words?
I'm going to say to start with what success looks like. As a small business owner, we define that differently for all of us, and we've kind of gone from the basics to the complex to even beyond at this point. But if you open your favorite AI tool and tell it what success looks like for you and ask, how can I get there? That reverse engineering, the reverse loop, you will be pleasantly surprised as to what's offered up. You may find yourself closer to something very agentic sooner than you think. You won't be doing as much manually. So I would say, tell it what success looks like, what done, and how you define done, and that will get you started.
Love it.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to put it. And I'm going to give one more success tip for everybody.
For
Join
sure.
the AI Marketing Experts Insiders group in the show notes below, wherever you see this. And we'll go deeper on this with you. Ask questions, ping us, have a conversation in the back end. What are you using? What do you need help with? Stuff like that. Might as well just join the community of people talking about what we talk about on this show and go a little bit deeper on these topics. So check the show notes. Take Action with Amy is in there as well when these episodes come out. So that's a little bit deeper on everything we've talked about as well. So join us there, and that would be very helpful as well. And if nobody has anything else, I think we've left the audience with some really interesting things to think about on how to just take a first mover advantage before everybody else starts to just catch up and do this. So with that, I will say bye, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care.